Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the January 13th County Council meeting. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. All right, auditor's financial report. Jennifer?
I think we have election of officers first.
Oh, you're right. Maybe I need to look at the agenda up there. All right, election of officers.
Want me to take this?
Yes, please.
All right. I would now open the floor to nominations for president.
I'll make a,
Madam President, I move that we put Jody Hamilton back in office again for President of Tippecanoe County Council.
I'll second that.
All right. We have Jody Hamilton nominated for president. Any other nominations? Hearing none, the floor is closed for nominations. All those in favor of Jody as president signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Jody Hamilton is president. I'll open up the floor to nomination of vice president.
Madam President, I would move that we nominate Kathy Vernon for vice president for the Tippecanoe County Council.
Second.
Got nomination for Kathy Vernon as vice president. Any other nominations? We'll now close the floor. All those in favor of Kathy as vice president signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And Kathy is elected. I'll turn it over to you, Madam President.
All right, thank you.
Yes, speech.
All right, auditor's financial report. Jennifer?
Okay. So at your place, you should have the general fund financial statement to start the year. We had a beginning cash balance of the general fund of $18,734,718. When we add in what we expect in revenue, property taxes, and also take in an allowance for circuit breaker, we have total funds available of $83,426,095. Then we subtract out your budget, the encumbrances, and the council-approved minimum balance of $11 million, giving you a beginning net balance for appropriations this year of $879,352. I altered so we used 97% of the property tax levy in 2025. And we used 97% of the budget spent in 2025 for these numbers. I did go ahead and adjust those just a little bit based on history. And then for the budget spend, we had a 96% spend rate for 25. But we did increase the health insurance line item quite a bit. And so since that's the biggest expense in there, I wanted to go ahead and bump that up just a little bit. The place I think will have some adjustments is in the circuit breaker. I expect our circuit breaker credits to double, but maybe not more than double. And so this has maybe $200,000 that I think will come off. Probably we'll know that in April or May. So, are there any questions about how I got to that number?
This is considerably less than we started last year with, right?
Yes,
If I
we
remember
started
right.
last year about 7.6.
So what that means is your budget is more or less what it is for 26, and there won't be a whole lot of, if anything, additional expenses out of the general fund.
You have the details of the encumbrances. For the general fund, it was $549,443, but then this shows, in the back, shows total by fund, so we're carrying over budgets of $2.6 million. The details are provided for you, though, just in case you wanted to see those by PO, invoice, or department, however you wanted to look at them. As far as the general fund revenue report, the taxes category came in pretty much as expected. Intergovernmental licenses and permits was up quite a bit, but charges for services down 81.6% in that category. Overall, general fund revenue came in at 101.9% of what we expected. Fund balances, had a few to point out there. The health fund, down to $18,000. If you recall, in '25, it was the first year that we moved a general fund appropriation into the new county health fund, and we'll be making that transition again to the tune of like $92,000 for that fund. Had another note, self-insurance, holding steady, just over $5 million. You have a request for the innkeeper tax collection, and I don't believe that's the right fund. But we'll talk about that when you get there. I guess that's all I had. I did want to say that we went through a conversion from our financial system, what we called One Solution, to Oracle NetSuite product. And so we're still working on getting you what you are used to seeing as the forms from the departments. We converted and have them do those in the system now. So they're not on the paper forms, but we would like to add like who the council rep is and an explanation to those requests. I am able to show you the emails that we got that kind of have like a memo line. So when those requests come up, I'll pull them up on the screen, but they weren't in the packet. So we'll be working on that in the future because I know that is really helpful to you guys. I think that's all I had. There could be more.
Thank you for working on kind of getting us, because we're all pretty comfortable in the old ways of doing things and with the little memo and who the council reps are.
Right.
Any questions for Jennifer? All right, thank you, Jennifer. And treasurer's report. Good morning, Yadira.
Good morning. Okay, we ended the month of December with an account balance of $195,490,302.05 and a total interest of $870,969.61. The average and the weighted average for the month of December was 3.88%. And we received, the general fund received 3.8% of the total interest earned for 2025, with 74% coming from banks and 26% coming from investments. For the year, we ended with $8.5 million in total interest, and then with the general fund, $5.1 million of interest, and we are sitting at 106% of our target rate that I set for 25. I do think that I need to elaborate on the rate drops that we received in 25. There were about 3 consecutive ones at the end of the year, and I had projected 4 cuts in 25 to be conservative, in 26, sorry. With the rate already dropping 3 times in 25, I think I am going to have to revise the projected interest for 26. I don't have those numbers yet, but I do want to let you know that.
Down, you're going to.
Down, yep.
All right, questions? Any questions? All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right, public comment for any agenda items. All right, hearing none. Now we have a presentation from Visit Lafayette, West Lafayette, Joe Wade. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us. This is Justina Brown-Walter, that is really the star of the show, the one you want to ask all the questions to. Yeah. And for informational purposes, Kathy Vernon is on our board and David Byers is our chair. We have purchased a account with Placer AI, which is a geolocation platform that, that's why Justina will do the detailed talking, that we can get information about. Justina will explain that to you all. But we have a 3-year contract. We are starting to enter into our second year, and we would like to request the innkeepers county dollars to pay for that, which is $32,500 due. That we signed the original 2025 contract March 18th, and so that will come up. We took that first year kind of to figure out how Justina figure out how it worked and all of that. And now we would really like to create a partnership with a lot of other organizations to have them be able to answer questions about traffic flow and all of that in the community, and to have a lot of the marketing and what people are doing based more on research that we can figure out. So I will let Justina take the floor.
In one sentence, Placer AI is a geolocation platform. They refer to themselves as a location analytics company. Are any of you familiar with this? The city of Lafayette had Buxton a couple, somewhat recently, but are you somewhat familiar, or is that totally new words? Yeah, okay, that's all right. I'll explain either way. But in short, Placer AI uses 35 million devices in the US that they track the movement of, and they gather a lot of data on that visitor movement of the mobile device, and then they basically package it into a dashboard and raw files that you can export, and then sell it to folks like us at Visit Lafayette, West Lafayette, other civic organizations, and many other types of organizations, businesses, and there's so many other use cases that I'm not even aware of. But we initially pursued Placer AI to figure out how many folks are coming to Tippecanoe County on an annual basis. There isn't any other way to measure this other than geolocation data. One of the caveats to it is that it is an estimation because they use this panel of 35 million devices, and there's much more people in the US and many more people to track, but they have a methodology that makes it sound. So we wanted to know how many folks were coming to Tippecanoe County, where they were coming from, and what they were doing when they were in market. We knew that Placer had a lot more to offer, but once we got the platform, we learned that it was so much more than we imagined. And as Joe said, it would be very useful to many other businesses and organizations. So far we're using it for, Visit Lafayette is using it for event analysis. So an event like the Feast of the Hunter's Moon happens, and we want to see where folks' home locations are. So like taking into consideration where we might be able to expend marketing dollars to, how long they're staying in market. It can help inform like how long an event really should be, or when to time significant events during a given event. If most people are showing up around 12 o'clock, it makes more sense to have that special event around 12 o'clock rather than 8 when most people are not there. So event analysis, understanding where folks are coming from, learning a lot about what they're doing while they're here. There's cross-visited places that it shows. I'll get into this packet in a moment, and you'll see what I mean. But seeing where folks are visiting and where they're going before and after that place, that would really help to let those businesses, buildings know that these places are cross-visited, and maybe there's other potentials for collaboration and partnerships that we wouldn't necessarily take care of, but it would be nice for them to know. Many other uses of this: it proves the effectiveness of marketing, it validates community needs, it justifies capital improvements, identifies true demand, like so much. I do not have enough time to articulate that. We've also had a lot of asks already from our industry partners for this type of data, reports in particular. We had a request recently from West Lafayette Parks and Recreation wanting to know Global Fest's estimated attendance from last year, because it's not a ticketed event. It's really impossible to know unless you're really good at estimating, like by eye, how many people are in a given area, but throughout a whole day, that's really challenging. So that's what Placer that's where Placer really fills in a gap. And then GLC, Greater Lafayette Commerce, we've also met with them early in the stages of having Placer, and they're very curious to know where visitors are coming from, their home locations, because those folks who are visiting this area, likely to like the area if they're coming back, are more likely to be workforce development, talent attracts. I don't know what the proper word is, but they're very likely to relocate here and live here, work here, and all of the above. So GLC has expressed interest in knowing that and using that data for their workforce development marketing efforts. They've also had they've sent us other inquiries. Michael Berger was interested in the hotel leakage that we received in Tippecanoe County from Crawfordsville's Ironman Raceway. They had a motocross event that happened, I can't remember the date, but this in the summer. They were interested to know what the hotel leakage looked like for that. Hotels don't really ask folks why they're staying where they are. So seeing the visitor movement helps to actually identify how many folks we might have brought into our market to stay overnight that were attending that event. They also connected us with the Hahn Museum. The Hahn Museum sent them an inquiry about annual visitation to downtown Lafayette because they were applying for a grant for pop-ups. So GLC has really been a big partner a big supporter. They mentioned that we could share too that they very much support and appreciate the support that we've offered so far through our Placer AI subscription. So as an example, this report that I have passed out is a sample overview report of what Placer can produce on downtown Lafayette. It uses the same range that I use, like the same time frame and filters that I used for the Hahn Museum's report. So if you flip through the first page, kind of it's just an overview, it's the cover page. The second page is the boundary of downtown that I used for doing this research. So that boundary is called a POI, a point of interest. The third page has the basic metrics, an overview, really, of the number of visits, the number of visitors. That's what the audience means, because the audience takes into consideration residents, visitors, employees of Tippecanoe County, and much more. And then visits trend. So that one is when the most visitors were in downtown. So it shows the peaks and valleys of visitation to downtown Lafayette.
And this is actual data. It says it's a sample, but this isn't like made up data. This is the real data.
The sample is a sample of Placer. That's,
Okay. Just want to make sure I understood it.
Yeah, thanks. The fourth page shows the beginning of the demographic data, just an overview, but it gets so much deeper than this, than just median household income, bachelor's degree or higher. There's many more, it's much more granular in the dashboard, but this is a sample overview report of Placer. Page 5 is similar, household income, education. Page 6, age, ethnicity, and 7, household size. And then page 8, this is a visual of the visitors to downtown's home locations. So it's a heat map showing where they came from. There's other ways to customize this. It might be weird to see that like Walmart and Tippecanoe Mall and SIA and Purdue are on there, but there's ways to like turn those on and off. It's just for reference for the user. Page 9 shows the visitor journey, what I was talking about earlier, seeing where folks were before they were at the given POI that you're looking at. So a lot of folks were at home before they visited downtown Lafayette and went home afterwards, which makes sense. And then the daily visits, so most folks who visited downtown Lafayette, and this was in 2024, I should have mentioned that, were there on Friday or Saturday. And then page 10, this is the hourly visits that I mentioned. So if we were looking at an event and not downtown Lafayette, this would show that it would be great to have special events happening over lunch and dinner, because that's when the most folks are here. And then page 11, these are the favorite places. So the folks, of the folks that visited downtown Lafayette in 2024, most of them visited the Tippecanoe County Mall in the same time period. And there's other ways to customize this too, if you wanted to see hotels or attractions or other non-tourism related things. And then the last page shows visit duration, how long folks stayed in the given POI in the given time period that is filtered. And then the very last one, the visitor journey and routes, shows how people traveled into the POI. But that's all I have on Placer.
Can you explain, I'm curious about the technology, how it captures the data. It seems very Big Brother-esque to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I leave my house, City of Lafayette, I go down to the farmer's market, maybe we go out for breakfast at Triple X and go back home. Okay, so I'm entering the area in which that you're there. How does it know my degree level, my income level, where I live, my household size, my ethnicity,
Yeah,
'Cause-
we asked the same questions.
I'm curious, because that, to me, it's a little bit of infringement on privacy.
Yeah. So first of all, the devices, the 35 million mobile devices that I mentioned before are tied to apps that are on, which we don't know what they are, that's proprietary. Apps that use geolocation regularly. So there are like limitations to this, where if that app isn't opened or if the location service isn't enabled and the device has the privacy, like their location privacy enabled, it wouldn't populate anything. But there are select apps that they say, Placer says are credible, that track that movement. And then the way that they generate estimations on demographics is through the home location, which is identified as a place that you stay for 30 days or more, because there's movement, people move, even though there's a lot of things that I've learned about this, where like the students are considered residents of here once they are here for 30 days in Tippecanoe County. But once the home location is established, they use census data to pull estimates of what demographics are likely to exist in that like particular device. So all of it is an estimation. That's something I should have said earlier, but it's the only way that we can access this type of data. There is really nothing else, but it's not to be taken as like true fact. It's just to inform strategic decisions. Yeah,
So like
but-
I use Google Maps or Apple Maps in my vehicle and it tracks that, my movement there, obviously.
Yeah, if those are
Yeah, if
two of the apps,
yes,
yeah.
that are used with this platform.
Yeah.
Or my LinkedIn profile, if I had one, my degree level, or, so
Yes.
those sorts of things is kind of what you're referencing, the platform utilizes on the back end.
Oh, yeah.
That's proprietary, okay. I'm just trying to make it so it makes sense.
Yeah. Anything else?
How specific can the POI boundary get?
We initially, there are ones that just exist based on what Placer thinks is useful. There are ones that we had requested when we first got Placer that didn't exist and were things that we wanted to track regularly. And then like attractions, restaurants, and more granular boundaries of campus, like Rossade Stadium, we wanted to gather the tailgating spots, which doesn't naturally come up on Placer. And then you can, real time, me as the main user of Placer, create a custom POI boundary. It can't be more than 500,000 square feet. But I think that if I were to request that, they could do it on the back end.
So it can get down to like the level of a block?
Yeah.
Smaller?
So the visitor center will use this, you're saying GLC would use this
Oh,
as
yeah.
well? Okay, and through GLC, smaller businesses could use this data? Because big businesses are using this data already.
Yes.
Okay.
They are another
Okay.
type of
So
consumer.
this is a way for us to help our smaller businesses? Okay.
I want to be clear, though, it has to go through Justina. It has to, yeah, we can't give out the app for other people to use. And, I mean, depending on, it, we've only gotten we're getting a group of requests, and we've had some from asking if this was available from cities.
I should have mentioned that. Legacy
Sports.
Sports Park.
I think he asked through Tom Murtaugh, and then we're trying to get his answers, the type of information he wants to do this. We could get to a point where it's too much for Justina to do all the requests, but we want to do the best we possibly can at exposing people to this kind of data and making sure that our community is using research on for their marketing, for the decisions they're doing, and the best they possibly can. So we will plug through, and if it's working really well, and if you approve this year, then we might be back for 35,000 in 2027 if that, so.
Okay, so just so I'm clear and everybody on the council is clear, the request is for 1 year, 32,500, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, all right, so we need to put a motion in place, correct, no?
Well, if you're prepared to move forward, I suppose that's how you would do it. In the past, we have, I think, allocated this money by resolution. I'm not
Okay.
sure that has to happen, but that's how we have done it. So if you want to move forward today, it'd be a motion, and it'd be a bit up in the air. If we have time, then we could adopt a resolution in February that lays out more of the details.
Okay,
We have, we can pay it, we have till March 18th, and we thought there probably would be a month, or other questions might come into us or whatever.
okay,
But,
so the time frame works?
Yes.
for you. Okay. All right. So do
Madam
a
President, may I ask
motion.
a question of Joe?
Yeah.
The last innkeeper's tax money that we allocated towards you was towards a facility study in the community or something like that. I never heard a follow-up on that, so I was curious what the results of that study was.
so, what they came back to us with was that a diamond field, a large diamond field facility would be a really positive things for our community, and they recommended a convention center. What the follow-up with that, we're struggling with right now, anyone wanting, we don't want to develop either one of those, but we're struggling with finding a development group that wants to develop those two things. But that's what they're saying should be our focus for the future, is what it was CSL study. We still have a group that we can pull back together, but the timing hasn't been right for it, and trying to figure out what new developments coming in. The convention center, their recommendation was for it to be close to a number of other hotels and walkable and all of that. And so it's hard when there's other convention centers being looked at or stuff that aren't as walkable and all of that. But we would be happy to promote whatever facilities come here, but we're still trying to figure out what direction we can go and what developers would be interested in this information, and are still in contact with the CSL group.
Okay. And the Diamond Sports, is that baseball, is that soccer, is that softball?
Flexibility is what they would recommend,
Okay.
but baseball and softball would be the number one, and access to lots of other, restaurant options and all of that sort of thing. But yeah, still haven't found that ground or a developer that wants to do it.
Okay, thank you. I'm always curious of what the outcomes are
Yeah,
after we appropriate money, in the first study.
And I
never
apologize, we
follow up with
should
that,
have,
so.
yeah, we probably should have come back with that. I think because we're kind of in limbo with it right now, that's where we, if we had a developer that was gung-ho on one or the other, we would have been right in, but, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question. You mentioned the 500,000 square feet. Is that the minimal where you collect the data for your information? That's 11 acres or so.
That was the maximum.
That's the maximum?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And there are, like Feast gives us issues because the cell towers don't work as well out there. There is limitations in the technology sometimes. We're still trying to figure out some glitches from the motocross thing in Crawfordsville. But Placer has been wonderful at trying to work through those with us and trying for us to figure out, the credibility of our numbers.
All right. Any other questions for?
The only comment I would say from the board is the board was very excited about this project when Justina gave us a presentation, and we encourage the continued use of this and sharing it within the community. And this is the funding mechanism for year 2 for this project.
Okay. All right, then we'll put resolution on the agenda for next month then for a vote. Okay? All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda are ordinance 2026-02-CL, amending salary ordinance.
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 2026-02-CL as presented.
Second.
I have a motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. Discussion. Sure.
So this ordinance, the short and sweet of it is that it increases the overtime rate from the normal 1.5 to a rate of 1.6. The background of this is that you start with the Indiana code provision. The way you establish compensation is you establish an annual salary. As you are very well aware, this is complicated because normally you pay that salary out over 26 installments. Because of how the pay dates fall, you're paying it out over 27 installments. This has an effect on federal overtime, which requires you to calculate a rate of pay, which is not something you set as part of your salary determinations, but now you've got to figure it out, and because you're paying it out over 27 pay periods instead of 26, that rate of pay goes down. So by increasing from 1.5 to 1.6, you mitigate the impact of the 27 pay period when it comes to overtime. As written, this ordinance exempts those positions for which you have established an hourly rate, which would be part-time, because that doesn't change. You're just doing 1.5, the same as you always did based on that hourly calculation that you fixed. It doesn't apply to, and it really wouldn't impact them anyway, but go out of the way to say it doesn't apply to exempt employees because they aren't entitled to overtime anyway. And then it doesn't apply to elected officials who are also probably exempt anyway, but that's because you can't change the compensation of an elected official in the same year. And it goes through 2026. As a reminder, this is an ordinance, so it has to get 2 votes. So if you wanted to adopt it today, you'd want to waive the rules to have a second reading.
And this goes back to January 1st,
Yes, I would like it to be retroactive to
Okay.
the first pay, and I had a little bit of numbers on that. So 56 employees were affected, but it ranged from 52 cents to $178.14. The average was $16.49. So we have that ready to put on the next paycheck, and we can get it on this payroll as well to make it.
178 was per month.
Was that was the high amount of an overtime that was shorted. Just one pay
One
period.
pay.
One pay.
And then how much do we think this is going to impact the general fund over the whole year? Do we have a estimate?
I don't have an estimate.
Okay.
I mean, they're working within their budgets as they are. And then we may see towards the end of the year that
We
just
may have
starts to run
requests.
out. Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
would say anywhere 20 to 40,000 maybe.
Okay, so well within the amount we have
Right.
to allocate. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Question from council? No? All right, all those in favor say aye.
That one's a roll call.
Oh, yeah, sorry. See, I even wrote that down.
Vernon,
Aye.
Basham,
Aye.
Carson,
Aye.
Dolem,
Aye.
Murray,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Hamilton.
Aye.
Ordinance 2026-2 CL passes 7-0 on first reading.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion, we suspend the rules and go to a second reading.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilman Vernon, to suspend the rules to have second reading. Okay,
That's a
okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, second reading. Have a motion, please?
Make a motion, we approve ordinance 2026-02-CL as presented for second reading.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilman, or Councilwoman Vernon. And I believe this one is a roll call.
Yes. Basham,
Aye.
Carson,
Aye.
Dolem,
Aye.
Murray,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Vernon.
Aye.
Ordinance 2026-2 CL passes 7-0 on second and final reading.
All right, thank you. Okay, next up, amended salary statement for 2026.
This is me again. So going back through some of the salaries, we had a few corrections. Highway director had been an amount that was perpetuated since 2021, I believe. So this corrects that salary to $136,476. Prosecutor, attorney / legal intern had been not listed on the salary ordinance, but submitted in their paperwork, so that was up to $50 an hour. And then I threw in the one for my office, which I wanted to combine up to 25. I had those separate in the past. So those are just 3 corrections.
I'll make a motion, we approve the amended salary statements as presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. Any discussion or from council, questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda passes. Additional appropriations, Circuit Court.
I make a motion to approve the appropriation for the Veterans Treatment Fund 9535 as presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilwoman Dolam, second from Councilman Richard. Any discussion?
These are the funds that they have every year, just being renewed.
Same old, same old. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 4D Commissioner.
Do we not need to do the Grant Fund
Oh,
9631?
yep, sorry, it was on the second page. Yes.
I make a motion to approve the appropriation for the Tags Vacia Grant Fund 9631 as presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilwoman Dolam, second from Councilman Richard. Discussion.
Same thing.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, now we're to the 4D, Commissioner.
Want to do that one?
Yep.
I make a motion to approve the Title 4D Incentive Fund 889 fund appropriation as presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilwoman Dolam, second from Councilman Richard. Discussion. Pat, do you have anything to share?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The Drug Enforcement Fund is a fund that court order forfeitures, and as they're ordered by the court to us, we come in and get them appropriated. So this is just the yearly part of it.
Thank you. Any questions from council? No. Right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion, oh, you're right.
That's okay.
All right. Lisa, you're up again. Prosecutor.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the Prosecutor Drug Enforcement Fund 2507 as presented.
Second.
All right. So Pat, you just talked about it. We have a motion in place and second, so you just talked about this one.
Got a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So as the court orders the funds transferred to our fund, we come over and appropriate them. The funding is controlled by federal law too, these categories.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes.
I make a motion to approve Title 4D Incentive Fund 8895 appropriation as presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilwoman Dolam, second from Councilman Richard. Pat?
The incentive fund is the money we get back from the state and federal government based upon standards that they set. How we spend it, again, is controlled by federal and state. This is going to pay our 2 part-time employees in child support. $3,000 is going to be for supplies for the year, and the other $5,000 is we need new office chairs. The other ones are wore out and falling apart.
Any questions from council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And then finally, I make a motion to approve the Grant Fund 9271 grant appropriation as presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilwoman Dolam, second from Councilman Richard. Any discussion? Pat?
This is the state funding we receive for high-tech crime unit. It was enacted by state law in 2022 based upon our operations of our high-tech crime unit in cooperation with Purdue University. The total amount of the grant is actually $300,000, but as I explained to the commissioners, $198,000 the state is using to buy software for us, and there are 9 other high-tech crime units in the state. They got a better bargain or deal by doing a package and buying for 10 as opposed to each unit buying one by themselves. So the remainder that comes to us this year is $102,112.42.
Any questions from council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you, Pat.
Thank you, and Ben, you'd be surprised what the private companies collect on you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure I want to know, Pat. But thank you.
All right, CASA.
All right, make a motion, we approve CASA Donation Fund 4121 appropriation, in the amount of $600.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. Discussion.
Just for some office supplies that they could benefit from.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. TIMA.
Make a motion, we approve the local emergency plan, RTK Fund 1152 appropriation in the amount presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. Discussion. Hi, Jeff.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First one is the LAPC, Local Emergency Planning Committee, that we meet. This money we get every year for it. The hazmat fund is for our hazmat team appropriated. The hazard warning is our sirens. As you guys know, we have 78 sirens right now, and we're in the process of moving repeaters over to Murdoch because the high rises and west side are blocking the signals. So we're in the process of doing that right now as well. And the last one is the LEPC for the hazmat training.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? All right, this vote is on the first one, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, if I get a motion for the second one.
Make a motion, we approve the Tippecanoe Hazmat Fund 2546 appropriation in the amount of $16,561.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. Any questions from the council on that one?
No, Jeff just kind of explained all these.
Yeah. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Third one.
Make a motion, we approve the TEMA Hazard Warning Fund 4940 appropriation in the amount presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, last one.
Make a motion, we approve the TEMA LEPC HMEP Fund 8431 grant appropriation in the amount presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. Community corrections.
Make a motion, we approve Community Corrections DOC Community Transitions Fund 1123 appropriation in the amount of $6,500.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. Good morning.
Good morning.
Discussion, go ahead.
Yes, this is just a fairly simple request from our Community Transition Fund that needs an appropriation just for other supplies as listed.
Okay. Any questions from council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That one passes. Second one.
Madam President, make a motion, we approve the Misdemeanor Fund 1175 appropriation in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon.
This is a request for our fleet vehicles. Some are up for replacement, so this just allows us to use the amount that is generally allotted to us from the misdemeanor fund for those vehicles.
All right. Any questions from council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. CCDOC, adult grant.
Make a motion, we approve the Community Corrections DOC Adult Grant Fund 9219 reduction in the amount presented.
Second.
All right, motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon.
This is a request that really is kind of fairly standard for us, given the timeline of the DOC grant application, the county budget process, and then just kind of reconciling what we have requested, pay increases, and just the allotted money. So this just realigns the money that we already have.
Any questions?
So we had appropriated more money than what the grant was, and that's why we need to reduce it? Or I don't know if I've ever seen a reduction like that before, so I'm just curious.
So as we write our grant application and submit salary request, we don't fully know what the pay increases will be.
Okay.
I think the stipends as well caused a little bit of unknown for us. So this just really allows us to reallocate the funds. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change any salaries. It's just really kind of moving money around to make sure things are fully funded.
So we're moving it from the grant to,
The total grant award was less than what we had kind of
appropriated?
hoped for, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
Okay,
it's,
thank you.
and sorry if I didn't do a good job.
That's
It's just
okay.
really moving from one line that we had a little bit of excess to a line that we needed the funds in.
Okay.
All right, any other questions from council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Amended salary statement.
Make a motion, we approve the amended salary statement of the Deputy Director to Exec 2.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. Discussion.
So this is a request, obviously, for a reclassification. Upon my arrival, I quickly learned the process, which thankfully was very similar to what I was used to in Wayne County. The process, as I understand it and I followed, is for requests to be made and reviews to take place by Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy. I know there are lots of questions around their services, and I can't really speak to that, but I can speak to the process. So I followed that process as far as the reclassification request, and I want to reiterate the focus is on the position. So as we looked at this position and I educated myself, the Wagner report that was published on this request provided some context that back in 2024, a recommendation was made for reclassification. I don't know the full reason for the why of that, but it's well documented, and unfortunately there was no action taken. The position became vacant back in late 2024 and filled in early 2025. There was documentation that at that time, there was a recommendation that this position be reviewed and hopefully reclassified. For whatever reason, that didn't take place. I believe that was a recommendation that was made to the executive director at the time. But again, unfortunately, that didn't happen. When I arrived in August, I spoke to Sadie after reviewing a variety of different job descriptions, and a request was made to WIS. Hopefully you have that report. WIS, again, documented that this recommendation was made back in 2024. Unfortunately, was not approved or no action was taken, but they did recommend the reclassification of this position. I took that to the Personnel Committee in October of 2025. They too agreed that this position should be reclassified, so here I stand today. So hopefully what I've already described gives some context to this exact position and a well-documented history that there have been an acknowledgement that this should have been done or recommended, no offense to that statement. So in that similar period of time, there have been 2 people in that position. So as we think about recruitment and retention, we heard a lot about that earlier, and data, we know that we're going to face that, specifically in the Community Corrections Office. We know we face that as well. I'm the second executive director in a similar position. So something that's very important for me and that I've always tried to follow in my leadership is building the bench. Your number one's only as strong as your number 2. This is the number 2 position in the organization. Well-documented experience in the field. The job description recommendations that were made speak to the duties, the daily duties, the 24/7 duties, and ultimately, it is my belief that the recommendation better aligns the expectations and daily duties to the pay. If I missed anything, I'm happy to try better to answer that.
Any questions or comments from the council?
The only comment I have is, and I've talked to Corey about this, and I've also talked to Ben about this, I will be voting no. And the reason for my no vote is not a reflection of Corey going through the process. It's not a reflection of the person, I mean, to separate the name from the person, but the position and the duties of the position is my no vote is based upon the WIS process. Because of the fact that during the budget hearings, we heard numerous times that what kind of confidence do we have in WIS? WIS isn't doing their job. And then we continue to send recommendations to WISC, and we get the recommendations, and we do the recommendations. But I think that we need to look at our whole system holistically and look at everyone, not just this exact, but all of the exact positions, all of the positions. And I know that's going to happen, and I know we're starting to put a process in place. So that will be my no vote. That's the reason for my no vote. It is no reflection on the person that's in the job or the duties of that job. And I want to make that perfectly clear.
It's a reflection of the WISP process more.
Correct.
and-
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other comments, questions from council?
And we are working on redoing that process? Okay.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I mean, the actions are, steps are
Okay.
being taken, so hopefully we will have something in the county, but I just do need to stick with my no vote. Thank you.
If I may, and I appreciate Kathy did tell me that before, and I do appreciate that and respect that. I just want to say, the one thing I've been encouraged and told is that this request is about this position. And again, I understand there's difficulties, but hopefully we can at least focus on this position at this time.
Correct.
Thank you.
you.
The fund, we mentioned the general fund is pretty limited this year. Jennifer, 1170 is not the general fund, correct? The general fund's 1,000?
Correct.
Okay. I do recall, and Kathy, I appreciate your comments. I holistically agree that we need to look at the entire county government employee salaries. And I have a few comments about that later this meeting, about that collectively, 100%. I spent some time at Community Corrections when the deputy director position was there, and I learned more about the day-to-day duties, the day-to-day obligations of things, and I would support the Exec 2 role, even though I also concur with your thoughts on WIS.
And I will second your first statement about the leadership that was taken during that period of time.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments from council? You ready for a vote? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
All right, Health Department.
All righty, still me.
It's still you.
Come on down, Stacy. All right, Madam President, make a motion, we approve the HPP and PHEP Base Grant Fund 8476 grant appropriation in the amount presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilman Carson. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning.
morning.
Starting with the Health First, or the Greater Health Foundation, that is going for Gateway to Hope medical supplies only. We only got funded till June because we don't know the outcome of that. It did pass 10-2 down at the state last week.
Okay, I knew that was.
It's got 2 more readings to go. Next one is our PEP, Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant. It is $5,000 lower, but it's still, we use it to take care of the mobile unit, which is actually off-site right now doing testing. In addition to utilities out of our emergency preparedness, and so forth, and supplies. So that's the 2 I have.
All right. All right, so for the first one, any questions from the council? No? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, need a motion for the second one.
Make a motion, we approve the Syringe Services THFGI Fund 9171 grant appropriation in the amount of $7,500.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilman Carson. And Stacy's already covered that. Does anybody have any last minute questions for that? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Amended salary statement.
I'll make a motion, we approve the amended salary statement for the Health Department Administrator to Exec 1.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilman Carson.
Good morning. I'm presenting, Stacy is an appointed official, and shouldn't present her own salary statement. This went through WIS multiple times, but also we learned that many, many years ago, this position was an Exec 1. The individual in the position at the time reduced, changed up the duties to a degree when the health officer was more involved. So that became an Exec 2. That doesn't really align with what the position entails now. And our health officer is a true health officer in a recommendation type scenario. So the health administrator now takes on a lot of leadership and a lot of fiscal duties, to which has excelled significantly. The health department has changed positions, reduced positions, unfunded positions that were unnecessary, and became very efficient in the last really year to last 6 months. So the WIS recommendation was an Exec 1. Personnel Committee approved on September 9th, and we're requesting this to be effective 1/1/26.
Any questions, comments from council?
I will say, understanding the duties and the roles and responsibilities with the addition of the HFI grant and all the things associated with that, the responsibilities have grown from what was 2 positions back to 1. And so I would support this from a duties, responsibilities, and job description standpoint.
And I just have to reiterate my comments from before. I will be a no vote, but I do want to commend Stacy on her leadership. She has led that department through rough waters and has come out with her head high and the department's head high and the leadership there. So the vote that I have today is no reflection on her at all. And I want to make that clear because she has done a fantastic job, so thank you.
Any other questions, comments from council?
I just second both of the praises that they gave. Stacy's doing a really good job.
But I want to reiterate, this is for the position, not for the person.
Correct. Yes.
Right? I mean, it's,
Yes.
if I hear, I mean, that's the process, right? Is this the position?
The process.
You know, while the person may be amazing,
Mm-hmm.
and she is, I don't look at the person in the seat. I look at the position of the salary there.
Yep. All right. Any more questions?
And I guess we can be thankful we have the right person in the right position at this time.
All right. Dare I ask again?
No.
Any more? Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. Parks.
I'll make a motion, we approve the Park Non-Reverting Capital Fund 1178 appropriation in the amount presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Hey, so, in that line there, we're looking to acquire some more land, and build new shelter houses, so that's what's in that line item.
And this has to do with what we discussed last month.
Right.
Correct? Yes.
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right. And if you want to cover the other, because they're similar, right? Your other.
All the others? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so in 4125, that's our gift fund, and we're just looking for some supplies out of there, like park benches. Our naturalist uses that for like bird seed and other volunteer supplies that she needs. And then in the 4126, that's our large gift fund, and she's looking to build a gazebo in honor of the volunteers that she's had over the years. And then the professional services, that's like for tent rentals and the climbing wall rental at the Outdoor Explorer event that she does in the summer. And then the last one, the 5980, that's the battlefield fence account. And that $3,000, that's all that's left there.
Okay.
And we hope to not have to use that, but as we know, that thing's kind of a magnet for destruction. So,
Yeah.
That was $10,000, right?
not quite. It was 8, a little over 8,000, the last repairs that we had.
Used to be 10, though.
Yeah,
What was that?
yeah, because we used, well, 11, because it was a little over $8,000 in repairs last year.
But I didn't run through it, but I remember.
It wasn't you.
Wasn't you, John? All right, I have a motion and second in place for Fund 1178. Any questions pertaining to that one? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. I need a motion for the Fund 4125, please.
Make a motion for Park Donation Fund 4125 appropriation as presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. Jed has talked about that. Any last minute questions for that? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Motion for Fund 4126, or 4126, yes.
Make a motion, we approve Fund 4126 appropriation as presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon, and this has to do with the gazebo. Any last minute questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Fund 5980, motion, please.
Make a motion, we approve Battleground Fence Fund 5980 appropriation in the amount of $3,000.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. The beloved battleground fence. Any last questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriffs.
I'll make a motion, we approve the SIA Foundation Grant Fund 9246 grant appropriation as presented.
Second.
Motion in place from Councilman Murray, second from Councilwoman Vernon. Good morning, Sheriff.
This is so we can purchase more AEDs for the patrol cars. We'll be able to get like 7 of them.
Any questions from council? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, committee reports.
Madam President, as we kind of think about just January 26th and think about what August is going to be here for budget in July and all that, as we listen and we hear, I know we've all heard about the collective salaries of the whole county, right, of how we're not on par with our peers collectively. I do want to put a goal out there that I think we should all strive to get to, and this is department heads, this is commissioners, this is council, this is everyone working together. I would love to be able to sit here and have a recommendation from commissioners for budget of a 5% raise for 27. I know that's lofty, I know that's a lot, but I think collectively, if we all work together, we can get there, is my goal. And that's my personal goal, is see if we can get a recommendation of a 5% raise for 27 for all employees.
Perfect.
I know
Thank you.
it's not all the way, but that is what I'm going to be working towards this year.
Yep, that's a great goal. All right. Any more committee reports? Unfinished business, we have assignments and appointments for 2026. I've spoken to the majority of you, and the ones that we have due or came to the end of 2025 and have received approval from the majority of you. There's 2 of them. Still need to confirm. But I think we're on track. By next month, we'll have all those filled. Is there anything you need to cover on that?
I was just going to touch on the Otterburn Library Board. I spoke to the new director yesterday to clear up some confusion. There was not a good chain of who took over for whom. And so on the screen, I'm showing what he's decided they would like to do. So that's Kathy Nelson as the appointment expiring at the end of 26, and Chelsea Webb expiring at the end of 29. And originally, that should have been 28, but they went all of 25 without an appointment at all in that position. So that's the chain of events there.
Okay.
And then also Ann Painter has a new last name, so I've changed that as well.
And that one, Ann's is the one that I do not have confirmation on yet. So we'll hopefully get that one soon. But everybody else seems to be confirmed. Okay, anything else we need to do with that?
No, assignments are staying the same?
So the second thing is the assignments really stays the same as they were last year. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that? No? Okay. I think we're good.
Okay.
All right. Commissioner, or new business, any new business? No? All right, Commissioners, FYI, Tom.
Good morning. As you likely know, the legislature is in session, so beware. There are some items there's a lot of items that are important for county government. Township reform is one of those. There's both a Senate bill and a House bill. One of those bills eliminates townships that don't meet a certain criteria. I think the Senate version is more of a merger for townships that don't meet a minimum criteria. But in the House version, the duties of the eliminated township would transfer automatically to county government. So it is something we want to keep an eye on. There's also, of course, a number of there's bills out there in regard to adjustments to Senate Bill 1 that we'll want to keep an eye on. And then House Bill 1001 is a really bad bill that takes a lot of local control away in regard to rezoning issues as well. So that's something we want to keep an eye on as well. Also, there are GLC hosts a legislative update with our local legislators. Those start they're on Fridays from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. You have to register for those through the GLC website. The first one is on January 30th, and then it's every other Friday throughout the session. Again, this is a short session, though. And then as well, GLC is hosting the State of the Cities and County, and that's on a Friday this year. It's on February 27th. Commissioner Brown, as President of the Commissioners, will be presenting along with our two mayors. That's always a well-attended and great event. So you can also get tickets to that from the GLC website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any public comment?
I want to thank Councilman Murray for your statement about the possible raise. I'd like to say on behalf of all department heads, I'm willing to schedule a meeting with them. I know that the budget process is cumbersome and takes a lot of time on behalf of everyone. But I think one aspect that I've always thought was missing is we never allow the department heads to meet, review their budgets, and be told, here's what we're looking at as possible shortage, or here's what we have extra to spend. If in the magical kingdom you could do that, what would be your inputs and thoughts on how to help the council meet your goals and the commissioners? And usually in the budget process, by the time we meet with our council reps, everything's already sent in. So many times in my 19 years, I've been told it's too late. You should have brought this to us last October. I think our department heads are valuable assets to the way the county runs. And I think they would appreciate and would be more than willing to participate to try to come up with some creative budget ideas. After all, the department heads run their departments. They know better probably what they can need more of or less of. And for years, and I remember back when Councilperson Vernon and we first started in county government, we were kind of amazed that department heads back then were afraid to cut budgets or to offer to cut budgets for fear they would be cut forever, right? So back then, it was almost like when I became the prosecutor, some department heads said, whatever your budget was last year, add 5 to 10% because the council's going to cut it. That shouldn't be how we work. And I don't think we do work that way. But I'm going to be sending out an email to all department heads to have a meeting. And I know you all can't meet because of open door. But if there's one or two of you that can meet with us as the go-between and the coordinate between us, I think we could it could be a valuable and maybe a very productive collaboration. So I appreciate what you said, and that's my public comment.
Thank you, Pat, and that was kind of my goal, is to get it out there in January, so we can all work the next 6 months together collectively for that, and be interested to see what Greg's advice is here in a few minutes after this meeting for our joint session. And I have some ideas in my head, too, of how to get there. They're creative, some a little ambitious, but if you don't shoot for the stars, you never get to the moon, right? So better than sitting in my hand doing nothing.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joni Bertram, and I am the founder and executive director of Collectibles for Change Foundation. We are a local nonprofit focused on adolescent mental health and substance use advocacy here in Tippecanoe County. Over the past several days, we have been collecting anonymous community input in Tippecanoe County from residents regarding the current adolescent-specific mental health and substance use services that are in place here in Tippecanoe County. While data is still ongoing, we just started on Sunday and it will run through the end of this week. The responses we received so far show significant concern from our community about access to care, extended wait times, lack of age-appropriate treatment options within our county. Families are reporting the need to travel outside of the county for services and reporting wait times of months to years for evaluations and treatment. Right now, we have current reactive programs in place, such as the opioid crisis fund, and those are definitely important. But our youth are also in crisis at this time, and we are past the point of education and prevention. We are now to the point that we need to go to treatment here at this time. And Tippecanoe County, we are the 7th largest county in this state. We are home of Purdue University, and we are building our 3rd and 4th full-scale hospitals, none of which will treat adolescents. As the commissioner said, there's things going on in the current legislation, and once again, it is up for a vote for it to have legal consequences to be homeless. That is a concern because, it has been stated that the cause of homelessness, 2 reasons, mental illness and drug addictions. And it has been proven over and over again that those are both stemming from childhood trauma. If we do not help our kids when they are young, whose responsibility is that? Because then we just keep repeating generational curses over and over again. So I just want to make it clear, I am not here today to request funding. Or propose a specific program or criticize existing providers. I am just here to ensure that this community's concern is formally documented on the public record and to respectfully ask the council and to recognize the adolescent mental health and substance use treatment capacity as an ongoing community issue that warrants further attention. We welcome the opportunity to share a brief summary of our findings once the survey has completed later this week and to participate in any future discussions or working groups focused on this issue. Thank you for your time and service to our community.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, Frank.
Yeah, good morning. Frank Hannon, 3522 Ali Sheba Drive, West Lafayette, Wabash Township. I want to thank the council, especially Councilmember Kathy Vernon, and also Sheriff Bob Goldsmith and his staff for making public the cost of the 2025 protest, sponsored by local organizations such as Greater Lafayette Individual, the League of Women Voters of Greater Lafayette, and others. As I said at the November meeting of this council, I'm a constitutional conservative who resolutely supports all the rights outlined in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. But I'm also a fiscal conservative who believes the most important fiduciary responsibilities of all government officials are public safety, fiscal prudence, accountability, and transparency. The direct costs of the 2025 protests were $10,150.13. That figure is almost the same dollar amount that our sheriff's officers are below annual area fair market value compared to law enforcement officers in Lafayette, West Lafayette, and Purdue. I hope in future budgets, the council can begin to plan to rectify this disparity. The population in some parts of the county is exploding. To fulfill your primary responsibility to ensure public safety, we will need more officers sooner rather than later. In my opinion, we can only do that by paying them fair market value. Regarding future protests, nationally, I've seen calls for massive protests on our nation's 250th anniversary on July 4th. Locally, this past Saturday, a No Kings workshop skills for fighting fascism was held. I think the county needs to prepare for massive local protests on or about July 4th. I hope that if they do occur, they do not conflict with any Lafayette area scheduled 250th events. With the political temperature rising throughout the country, the county and the cities of Lafayette and West Lafayette must do everything they can to ensure the safety of the protesters, counter-protesters, businesses, and residents. As I said at the November meeting, SB 1 has forced the county and all Indiana government entities to tighten their fiscal belts. Every dollar spent outside the adopted county budget should be scrutinized and the public made aware of the cost to the taxpayer. This includes protests. These protests and possibly counter-protests will continue through the current president's term and maybe even beyond. In putting together the 2027 budget, I ask you once again that you budget for them and track the direct and the indirect costs of the types of these events. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right. Next up, we have a joint special meeting between council and commissioners with our financial consultant. But we're going to take a few minutes break for that. I don't even know what time it is. Come back around 10 o'clock.
Make a motion to adjourn? Or just
Recess.
recess? All right.
Yeah.
Withdrawn.
Ben, I'm not going to second that motion. Good. I'll reconvene the county council meeting.
And I will call the Tippecanoe County Board of Commissioners to order.
Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, and good morning, and welcome to 2026, everybody. It's going to be a fun year. I can guarantee it. It will be a changing year, that's for sure, that's for sure. Okay, so Kathy, you changed places on me. I'm going to call you Jody now.
It's okay.
Although I've known you for a long time. I'm going to take about the next half hour, 45 minutes, and kind of step you through where we've been, where we are, and where we're likely to go. And I'm going to use a couple of the documents. We have not updated the full sustainability yet for 2025, but there's about 5 important points that I want to go through. And I can't wait, like I told Ben when we were walking down the hall, I can't wait to hear his suggestions, although part of them might be kind of what I told you in June or July, but he may have some new ones, that I told you June or July in 2025. So I think the really critical question is where we've been, and you've got this, Jennifer, if you want to put this up, and you've got this document in front of you, and where we've been, and I think I would go ahead and go to the second page, which is, if you look at that line, total spendable appropriations for the actual. I want you to focus on the actual column. It's the numbers under the yellow, okay? And I'm going to try and be very, very specific, and it'll take a little time here so that you stay with me, and if you've got a question, please stop me, okay? Because I really want you to understand this. What we've seen in 2022 is approximately overall spend of 56 million. This is actual. We then saw the 56 go to 62. We then saw the 62 go to 68. That's a pretty aggressive ramp rate on expenses. Okay? Now, if we go back to page 1 of that, go back to the actual where we go through the revenue, you'll see the revenue at 56 for 22, matching 56 in expendable appropriations, 23, 65 matching 62, and 74, 24 matching 68. So we all felt kind of good because our operating balance was going up, okay? And I even made the statement in the sustainability last year that with a balance of 20 million, you've got at least some things that are looking okay, when I talked about this last June. Now let's look at 2025. 2025, we had it projected at 67 on revenue, and we had expenses projected at 69 and a 19.957 ending balance. The late breaking news that Jennifer, and you should go through this each and every council meeting, by the way, the rating agency likes to hear you go through revenue, expenses, and fund balances. Your fund balance for, whoops, I was putting up the wrong page. The fund balance was 18.7 million. You did worse than the projections on the ending balance.
You mean instead of 19.9, it's 18.7?
Yes.
Okay.
18.7 right here on your general. This is the information that
Yeah, you got the
Jennifer
arrow.
handed out today.
We have the arrow, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that gives me quite a bit of concern. Okay. Because what that means is, I believe, and Jennifer's been working on the detail on the revenue and the detail on the expenses. But Jennifer, Jennifer and I have had a couple phone calls or Teams meetings to this point. It's my understanding the expenses outstripped the revenues in 2025, and that's what's causing, and a lot of it was healthcare, which is what I kind of mentioned in June or July of last year, that healthcare was going up enormously in other counties, and I was expecting it here in Tippecanoe County. It hadn't happened before July of 25, although there was some concern, but it sure happened after that. And Jennifer, it is my understanding you also had to supplement the general fund over and above from another fund. Is that correct?
We moved 3 million from general fund to the self-insurance fund.
Okay, to the what?
Self-insurance fund.
Yeah, self-insurance. So $3 million into the self-insurance, and then you use that, correct?
Yes.
Because the self-insurance fund is what number here on the overall?
4710.
Pardon me?
4710.
4710. That's right. You and I talked about that. And on this one, I don't have the second page. What's the current balance of 4710?
5.3 million.
Okay. So there is some balance in there. And so, Ben, as I heard your comment about the 5% raise, anytime I counsel my county councils throughout the state that when you talk about raise, you should talk about insurance at the same time, okay? Because it's real easy to give a raise of X amount and then increase the amount that's going to be deducted from someone's paycheck and basically end up at 0% raise. And, so we got to be careful there. But if you're sustaining what I believe in the future here so what was the overall increase in insurance, do you believe, in 2025 as a percent, Jennifer? 7, 10?
A percent of the general fund?
Percent of expenses going up, the overall. So I'm using like 5 to 7% increase in insurance each and every year, okay, for group health care.
Yeah, it might have been 20%.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that makes sense given the numbers that you've taught. So if we are to sustain, if we have an employee and we want to give them a raise, we got to also look at what we're going to have to tackle as far as group insurance. Okay, so I'd keep those in the same. Now, if you also now look at 27, in 27, I've got your budget, or we'll just stay at 26, sorry, Jennifer. 73.5 is what you approved, okay? And if we now go back to the first page, Jennifer, to the revenues, I've got you at 66 million, okay? Now we become that gap of widening between revenues and expenses are huge. Now, I did not, and you can tell me, and I will in 27 if you want, but I did put in 26 what I call the infamous pennies from heaven, which is the supplemental lit that you get each and every year. So I did put that in to the projections in the revenue of 66 million. You don't see it because we don't have the detail yet for you, but I put in approximately $1 million. In 25, you're at, and by the way, I believe that's getting fairly close to what you had in 24 was 1.9, in 25 it was 1.9. That, remember, that's the extra lit that is not programmed in your revenue that comes in April if the balance is good and the Board of Finance at the state level says there's extra money, okay? but we counted on 1 million there. So Ben, when you and I were talking kind of out in the hallway, I'm like, uh-oh, what I'm seeing in 2026 is the possibility that if we go to the second page, if we were projecting you at 19.9, if we're now 18.7 on cash balance, then where are we likely to be in 2026? I've got you down to 12. Okay, that's a big number, and that's a big number of erosion of cash, and that 12 million is getting seriously low in the general fund. Okay.
So I'm a little confused, because when we did the budget, were we projecting we were going to spend 7 million out of our cash fund?
Well, you spent the 7 between 25 and 26. So we moved 3 million out, and then we used 3
Okay.
million cash balance to fund this year.
Okay,
So
okay.
if you
And then
think
we
of
had the
it
yeah.
in terms of 11 million minimum, and now you've got 12, you've got one
Okay.
million more than that.
Okay.
Now, I'm glad we have the new treasurer here, because we already told her we need $10 million in 2026. And she said, Houston, we have a problem. And I said, oh, okay. And so in your projections for 2026, I actually put 4.7 million, a little lower than the actual, which you said you believe that it's also going to come down. And because you've got two things going on, you've got interest rate coming down, and you may have money supply in the overall general fund and other county funds going down. Okay? So the last time I looked, when you have two go down, you know, you got a little bit of an issue there. Okay? Now, yes, please.
So in your revenue projections, are you utilizing what our department has projected for user fees and that type of thing as far as revenue?
I'm going to say no. We used our analysis based upon the history. And so they may have a little bit higher number.
Okay.
And Tim, what we want to do is once we get the actual revenue reports, Jennifer gave us the one from for 25 for the general fund yesterday and haven't really had a chance to analyze it. What we'll do is put the 25 in there, then re-reconcile 26. But you make up a really good point. My overall flavor that I'm going to leave you with is, guess what? On January 12th, we've started the 27 budget. Ben took first blood, okay? And so, you know, what I'm going to suggest is we need all hands on deck from the department heads, and I'm used to this. I have department head meetings, luncheons, and everything, bringing them in both on the revenue side and on the expense side, because we need their input. Yes, I could be off $1 million, okay, but guess what? There's still a pretty big duck to plug.
Yeah.
Okay, and ultimately, I don't disagree that expenses could also go down, okay? But the lofty first blood that was thrown out at 5% is going to be very, very tough, and it's got to, again, be we got to be cognizant of where group health insurance is going. And when do you renew, Tom? Do you renew in September, October?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Kind of too late?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm assuming the commissioners are doing is really, not only, Ben, would I want a recommendation to the commissioners on salary, but a recommendation from the commissioners on group health. Because you know and your group knows that the stop losses, you know, who's been carved out, you know, those things, we actually micromanage on a county level each and every month. We basically, I'm still suggesting you may want a monthly just budget meeting for 2027 budget starting in February. Okay? Separate and apart from your normal meeting. Okay? That might be I'm sorry but I'm here to suggest you guys rule. And when, you overall council decides. But I think it's going to take that, Tom, and we can get reconciliation of all of these things. And everybody can stay on top of it, so this doesn't become the August surprise. And I think that's why Jennifer wanted to kind of have this introductory meeting and kind of where we are, where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Okay, so now we have projected that that lit will go up overall here in Tippecanoe County. But, Ben and I talked about in order to move forward and maybe plug some of what we think is really going to happen in 2026, there's two roads, okay? Increase revenue, decrease expenses, okay? Now, if you go to increase revenue, I'll point blank say, last July, I suggested the jail correctional facility tax of 0.10. That was, John, I don't think you were here for that meeting, but I actually have that document where I proposed that. And so if you're going to do anything on realigning your lit, and remember, some of them you control, some of them, as a Coet County, others control. But on that one, you control it, and that's why I suggested it. Expenses being cut, sure. I think we have each department head help us with expense cuts. And again, don't do it in August, do it in February. And let's start looking at, because this sustainability, if passed out to the department heads, and that's what we do in other, they can see exactly what their spend has been, what their 26 budget is, and we'll be able to pretty much estimate 27. I'll pause here for a minute. Does anybody have questions?
How much revenue was generated on that community correction?
Well, we haven't passed it. The recommendation was if we did a 0.1%, it'd be roughly 6.2 million.
6.2
Ballpark, through the ballpark, 6 to 6.2 million. And it was not shared, so it'd be 100% to the counties.
Yeah. And so, so I think I agree with the treasurer. We probably have some decreasing interest income revenue. We have already assumed some increasing in lit because of just growth in income. And overall, don't forget, we were bringing about 1.7 million more of circuit breaker. That is going to make your realization of revenue, and that's, Jennifer, if you go back to, well, you don't have this, I'm sorry, on the revenue page. We had about 1.3 million roughly as your share, reducing your increase in your property taxes from 25 to 26 was going to go up about 1.5 million. Circuit breaker is going to take about 1.3 of that. You're not going to get a lot of new property tax dollars, okay? And that's what's also double hitting you in 2026. And that's why when you see the 67 and the 66 on the revenue side, circuit breaker as a result of, I call it circuit breaker, but lost revenue as a result of everybody getting their $300 or 10%. Remember, I mentioned that to you back in July, that theater was going to come near you, and it is in 2026. Okay? So that's additional lost revenue. So, Tom, I can't agree with you more. We need as much help to find revenue and make sure our revenue projections, the other thing is level 6 is you didn't have a tremendous amount there, but, I've got, Hancock County's going from 2.1 million to 500,000. Because of the care of the state prisoners that are no longer going to be in the county. And I don't know, the sheriff's not here, but that's kind of important too, because that gravy train is gone, okay? And it was a gravy train for a lot of
So
counties.
that's for sure?
Yes.
That's gone away?
Matter of fact, we're giving you all points notice on lit, Jennifer. We've had 2 counties now say their lit distributions were calculated incorrectly in January. So you might want to review what you collected so far in COET, but lit overall for January. We believe there's some mistakes that took place. So 2 counties have already identified an error.
Who made the mistakes?
So this would be the revenue boys, okay? And, John, if you've gone down to the State House in any department, there's a lot of new faces, right? There's a lot of new people, there's a lot of, it was kind of like, some of the people put out, very large employers in Indianapolis said, if you want to stay home, then stay home, but you don't have a job either. So there was a lot of that when the state tried to bring back a lot of people, a lot of the seasoned people left. So we're seeing, number one, they're overworked, and number two, the institutional knowledge has been leaving, okay? And believe me, institutional knowledge pays. So that's kind of important. So, the other things then,
I'm sorry, can I ask one more
Sure.
question? And this might be more for
Please.
Jennifer. So we budgeted a fair amount of money for DOC reimbursement. So I'm assuming that's in those projected revenues.
Mm-hmm.
So our revenue numbers may even be lower than you projected here.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that, I don't get how the state's doing that. I mean, they haven't built more prisons, so what are they?
Looking at it.
So what they're doing is they had froze it at a level of prior commitment. So let's say it was $1 million, they froze it at $1 million, and they would pay $1 million for the next 3 years. They found that the judges were actually not, the way I understand it, not really giving them that sentence. So there was less of those, okay? Therefore, the state went back and said, wow, if we do this back on actual count, the 1 million will go down to 500, okay? So now they're doing it more on actual count rather than this levelized revenue.
Okay.
Tom, that's why, remember, I specialize in county, city, town, and township government, and there's so much going on that you got to keep an eye on. And you brought it up during your legislative little update. I mean, I've got a couple of things. That theater is going to hit you and hit you hard. But go ahead, Tracy.
Well, I might also add that on the DOC money coming in, the other problem is they are behind, and once they run out of money for the year, that you're done at that point in time. You stand in line for your money the next year, right?
Yeah.
That's been
Exactly.
our experience.
Now, I did see, you got 1.2 million, no, that's 4D, but we need to look at those, and that's what we'll do is, once we get the expansion, we get the actual 25, we'll put in a revised 26 estimate, but again, find $1 million or $2 million right now error in this or additional revenue, we're still out of balance, right? Still out of bounds quite a bit. And I heard your struggle last year with the 27 pays. I'm sorry, but the best thing you did is enact the increase that you did, take a deep breath, and leave it alone. Because the additional increase would have cost a lot more, and your 18 and your 12 would have likely gone like even worse. Okay? So now I understand, and what I keep seeing is after everybody, they get behind on their salaries, and now they have to go a high level. And again, Ben, what I said while you were out was I made the comment that what you enacted for 26 appears to be the best financial decision you made at this point in time. I know employees are very, very valuable, and I go across the state. But at this point in time, that's the best thing you could have done, is not paid an extra pay, because that would have really probably put the general fund even in a worse 8-ball, or behind the 8-ball worse, okay? So you've got to increase revenue, you've got to cut expenses, you got to get it kind of back, because what I did put in the very back page here, this cash working capital, I mean, you ended up in the general fund at 93 days. Now, I work with private enterprise and with government, and when we start getting at about 90 days, or you're at a 25% balance of your budget, when you get to about 90 days of cash working capital, 93 days, in the general fund, that's getting pretty low. Your peer group in your ratings category will be a lot higher than that, okay? So you're getting at what I consider, your minimum, I know, is 11 million. That's good for a minimum, but you're starting to head towards that, and the trajectory is not good. That's what I keep. So now, edit, sure, it's got money in it. So commissioners, if you remember many, many, many years ago, I said what you put in edit will stay in edit, and it will draw it down. But you're probably at the point where you're going to have to supplement operating expenses with edit, unless we do in addition maybe, Ben, to the road of the correctional facility and cutting expenses. Notice I do say cut expenses, because anytime everybody says, see, he's just promoting new revenue and that's it. No, you got to look at both of them. There's no doubt about it. And you got to have the department heads help in it, because again, if you take department, maybe what we do is 5 departments in February and 5 departments in, I don't know how many departments you have in total.
50.
How many?
46?
50? Yeah. So maybe 10, 10, 10. But, and get that help too, and stuff like that. So, Jennifer, we were at the expenses and working capital and focusing on how much do you think we're going to have to add in additional group health insurance in 2027 over and above what's budgeted in the general fund right now?
We technically shouldn't have to add additional. What we projected in our premium increases is enough to make the account flush based on some factors that we did after we approved those premium increases.
And what are you using per employee? 16, 17, 18,000?
It's a lot
For
higher.
budgeting purposes? Or do you do it for?
It's like
Well, 25 at the highest,
I would say
think.
26, yeah.
So is that
7.
single, you have at one rate, and married?
Yeah, we have 4
Dependents, you
tiers.
have at another rate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you're thinking, we will not have to supplement 4710 over and above what we've already supplemented?
The projection is that we should start to decrease in claims and high claimants this year, and we should be on the downturn of our steady 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
And so we should build enough up so that in our next 3-year stint of really bad claims, we should have enough to make it through that.
So what percentage increase today would you say we would experience for 27?
sitting where we are and knowing that we will be flush, I think it's best to maintain consistency and increase 0.5% to 1% year over year, because the cost of healthcare is not going to go down. At some point, we are going to need an increase, so let's make it minor year over year. Instead of this year, I don't even know the percent we did, it was a lot.
So you're saying 1 or 2%?
What's the average you're seeing out there?
7, 8, 10?
Are you talking total dollars, though?
Yes.
Okay, I think you were talking premium.
Yeah, I was talking premium, I'm sorry. So I don't
Premium,
have that.
but premium equating to total dollars, because my assumption is you are not increasing the workforce.
There's a current freeze.
Right. Or chill, or what, you
chill.
know. And so is that, so that's implicit in my understanding would be in 27, you're not actively looking at hiring 5 new people because it's probably not the time. Okay, thank you. And so therefore, from the overall premium cost is, and then Jennifer, what I want to focus with you on as we incur this is, first of all, is group health insurance allocated to the non-general fund people correctly, and I'm assuming so, and they're fully budgeted. And so if theirs would go up also 1 to 2%. If everybody, so what I'm getting at here is what I also see in other counties is that the general fund was picking up a higher proportionate share in insurance. And if we relieved over the last year or two other non-general funds, and then those other general funds are now reverting back to the general fund and requiring more dollars because community corrections is out of balance, probation's out of balance, and things like that.
We did it proportionally, but this was really the first year we've had to. So everybody was maintaining, and then we increased, but we did it proportional to the fund that the employee is paid from.
So given your, I did not get to dissect your ending balances, but given your ending balances, do you believe like a probation fund or community corrections or any of those will have to revert expenses back to the general fund in 27?
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty important. Okay, and so I call that catch up, and that's not something you put on your hot dog. Okay, that's catching up and making those whole, and that's what I'm seeing in everybody else. Okay, so it's not a direct result of insurance, it's more of a direct result of revenue, again, maybe not meeting those expenses.
Right, their revenue has been holding steady, and they've been using cash balance to fund operations.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where one of the things that Jennifer and I wanted to kind of bring up is the other funds and where some of the other funds we think will go in 27. And so, been back to, that may kind of put even more pressure on the general fund. Okay, so questions on this, at this point?
Yeah, I was wondering if it would be possible on the working capital page, like the days available part. I was wondering if you could maybe help give me some perspective on understanding like how good or bad that number is. Like if we were in 2008 headed into 2009, like, you know, and we had 93 days available, so to speak, like how bad would that be? Just to kind of help me get some perspective.
You'd probably, it's kind of like your income tax. You'd probably be, in the income tax, you are 79 out of 92. Okay, lowest. Okay, so at 90 days, probably everybody got better, most part in 25, because the interest income, my treasurer left me, so my interest income went out the door. But the interest income that was projected was 4 million, and it came in at 6 million. So the biggest criticism I've had overall is that the sustainabilities, everybody's cash balances went up. yours went down, okay? Somebody, another university, we won't name the university, but their county went the same direction. Got caught by group health, used old numbers. I got in there and we realigned it, updated it, and it caused, quite a bit of concern.
Well, in
So,
fairness-
to answer your question, let me answer your question. You'd be in the lower, probably at least 1/3 quartile, okay, at the 93 days.
Wouldn't you say most other counties, though, were experiencing this before 25? So it's
Experiencing.
the increase in the health insurance.
Absolutely.
And so we held on longer.
Yes, because I even said that in July, I think. I said, I'm kind of amazed you haven't had this, this issue. And, it doesn't, and everybody's like, yeah, it's because our aging workforce. I'm sorry, that's not what I've seen. Your aging workforce has not really caused, it's some of the surprises out of even some of the young employees and things like that. So I say don't go there. It's kind of the overall group that you're made up of. And yes, you've been very fortunate. That's why I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. But you cannot also project the ones that will be diagnosed tomorrow that will hit the stop loss and we'll have to get reimbursement and all that other stuff. And we'll have to pay it up front. And so, so those are the things, because we don't have, remind me, in Tippecanoe County, we don't have a self-insurance reserve fund, correct?
We do.
Okay, and is that within, how much is that? 3,
It has
2?
3 or 3.5.
Yeah, okay. So that's one thing we can still go to that safety net. Notice I didn't call it rainy day. You can only have one rainy day fund in the state of Indiana. It's a self-insurance reserve fund, and that we still have that safety net, which is good. Okay?
Great.
And when we put that in effect. Yes, John?
No, I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
I was going to take a pause.
Okay. I don't want to sound like, we're self-insured. So we have been for several decades. So have we ever gone from to the outside and just rolled the dice, because they'll jack us up the next year? I mean, can we save money that way by getting some independent and however they do that? And then, of course, it's going to continue to go up, but we can drop them the next year or something like that.
So it's something that's looked at every single year.
Oh, okay.
Our broker does check to make sure that we're in the right space.
Right.
It's really hard to go from fully insured, to go from self-insured
Insured to
back
fully
to
insured,
fully
right.
insured.
But-
And you're going to expect 20 to 30% year over year in those scenarios. Our group is also entirely too big to think that a fully insured platform would be efficient for us. So instead, we do things like, we moved our reinsurance carrier to a better provider. We changed our pharmacy plan, which I spoke to in a
Sure,
meeting
I'm
with
sure
you.
you have, yeah.
And then we have done some wellness initiatives, canceled
Right.
some wellness initiatives, that sort of thing. So it would be extremely difficult to go the other way and probably way more costly than what we're seeing now, just from what I know of the market.
Okay, I'll take your word at it, but.
I kind of agree with her.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's absolutely right. The only reason I just kind of brought that up, you'd have us, you know what you're going to pay.
Yeah, the Shelby County Commissioners have said we're going to have an insurance review committee and we're going to hammer this home, and they tried to do that in October and it was the wrong time, but they're going to try and do it again. But the answer is, I don't see big savings.
Well,
Now, they also, have you been using the same broker for 10 years? Okay. Sometimes that's, you want to, I don't, who? Okay. Sometimes you need to go back to them and work with them. But that's in the commissioners, something that the commissioners, I'm assuming, get intimately involved in.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Plus, our clinic model doesn't fit in the fully insured.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Tom, while we're there, the other thing is property insurance, property and liability. I've had one or two people get turned down, counties get turned down, and, thank gosh, I'm thinking you're having really good times at your jail, that there's not been issues. You have one of those, and travelers will say, we're done with you. Which is one of the largest insurers. And now we've also had to put in a reserve fund for liability insurance. We had to fund, in one county, we had to fund, $500 to $1 million. Yeah.
And, we have been told that essentially it's going to be harder and harder to insure a correctional institution.
Yeah. And so how much do we have in the liability reserve fund? We may have to add to that as we go.
Three different ones. Public officials, sheriffs, and probably not more than 3 million. No, I thought it was around 2.
Okay. So to keep going, because I know, Kathy, we're ready to pull out the cane here in a little bit, but so we know where we've been now, right? We know where we are. We got to work really, really hard on the 27 budget and not in August, okay? And where are we going to go? Well, Tom, whet your appetite, and Ben and I kind of chit-chatted out in the hall. The new Senate bill that's coming out on LIT, Jennifer and I talked about this. It's coming out 1 year delayed, Jennifer. So not in 28, you wouldn't be putting your new lid in, it'll be 29. So that if you did anything between now and then, you would at least do it for a year or two. I wouldn't say, so if you were to say, we want to install the 10 basis points of correctional facilities tax, I would not say put any sunset date on it. It will sunset automatically when the new lit comes in. And by the way, in that lit analysis, and Jennifer's going to hand out for you SB1 total impact, and I don't want you to focus on that, but I want you to have it, because what I told Jennifer is that we would then put together SB2 version, okay? Once the Senate, and by the way, there's a House bill and a Senate bill. The House bill, probably, it'll just be used as a reconciliation bill. The Senate bill is the one that's the strongest, and that's what we'll then put together at what I call SB2 on. But where we originally had in this analysis, and the one that I handed out in July, that you would have the opportunity of a rate of 1.2% is now 0.7. Okay? And your absolute minimum break-even analysis in this document would be 0.50. Okay? So now your runway has gotten a lot shorter. Okay?
And that's based on what could potentially pass?
Yes, sir. Yes, what could potentially pass. Now, I do know that AIM, the Cities and Towns Association, already has been working in December. If you go to that very, Jennifer, can I borrow yours? Because, okay, can I borrow that one? And we can put it up there. The one that has the point, let's see, it is page number, there it is, page 6. So the 1.2 is going to really put you over and above. What has happened is LSA has done an analysis throughout the state of Indiana, said 1.2 is too high for county governments, and cities and towns are not faring well. Cities and towns in their latest are saying about 70% of them can't afford to be under their 1.2. Now, what happens here in this analysis, I show you that we've estimated West Lafayette and Lafayette would actually be below 1.2. So, Tom, as the legislature kind of looks at the new Senate Bill 1, I hate the one-size-fits-all. The .70 and raising cities and towns to 1.5, still staying in an overall 2.9, may not work in every county, right? And may not work in Tippecanoe County. And the runway, again, between the absolute break-even of .50, and that doesn't have excesses in it, and that does not have what we may have to allocate in '27 to edit or seed it. And so that your .50 is probably going to get to .60 and maybe even higher than that.
Since you're talking about that.
Yes.
You've always said that the income tax is less stable than property tax, and we have seen that in the past where it's dipped below what we expect. We can't continue to assume it will rise every year after year. So what would you recommend we do to put something away for those times, or, you know what I'm asking?
Sure. So what you would have to do probably is when you enact, between now and then, you probably can't put away, but when you enact, you'd have to enact a buffer, okay, or a strategic plan for that. The problem may be you may not get the buffer, okay?
Right.
And to put something away between now and then, especially without a new revenue source, is impossible, I think, okay? And so that's where it's going to be very important for you. Again, if you want to address expenses and revenue, you need to start in February. And by the way, Jennifer, we're still on the track of, we believe your CCD rate should go to the 20-year-old tax rate of .333, and right now you're at 2.5 pennies, and the old rate is .33, it's 3 pennies, right? And it's been around for 25 years, and you're not even using that for CCD. So you really need to begin that process, and it has to be done fairly quickly.
Right.
And so, you know, that would be something you definitely want to address with the council. And again, CCD is cum capital development, something that the commissioners kind of control and would help for pay-as-you-go, especially if we have more operating expenses going to edit. You see how this becomes one simultaneous equation, and why it's important to have council and commissioners all in the same room, okay, hearing the same song.
And so that CCD rate, is that has to be done every certain period of time?
No,
to
not
reestablish
anymore. If you get it, you stay at 2.5 pennies unless you do something about it. Once you go to 3 pennies, okay, 3.33 pennies, cities get 5, but you get 3.33. Once you go there, it will stay there unless you budget incorrectly and lower it. And then, so you do not have to renew it each and every year anymore.
I thought we had reaffirmed at that rate a few years back.
I think that was
Legislators.
Then you didn't budget it to that rate, because I have you, in the sustainability, I have it at 2.5 pennies, I think.
I don't know what the number was, we went back.
Yeah, I think it was pre-Jennifer,
Yeah, it was definitely Bob.
not to name names.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob. So, because I have you in 21 at 2.5 pennies, and so, you know, that's a little bit, you know, a little bit, I mean, you know, like I said, that rate has not even changed in 25 years. And you're not, again, using the tools that are in place and available is the best thing you can do. Okay? Okay, so Jennifer, back to kind of your question, I think what we kind of need to look at, and Ben, if you are going to give increases above and beyond what you've thought about, okay, in the past, then we need to address both sides of the equation, okay? And migration of any operating expenses until you get to this lit window that's opened here, and that just already got postponed to here. Stay tuned, it could be even longer than that. Because Jennifer, I don't know if you've noticed, you will become in the new Senate Bill 1, the Supreme Commander of GIS, and you will start getting the boundaries of the cities and towns and counties and things like that for the new lit, because nobody else seems to be able to do it. So your GIS and the virtual fencing around Lafayette, West Lafayette, battlegrounds and some things like that will kind of fall on you, okay? So that's what's also coming to a theater, and that's going to be very, very important. We didn't even talk about, and Tom mentioned it, if townships go away, you're going to be bestowed those duties. And by the way, the fire and EMS rate, that's the one I really don't like. It's going down from 0.4 now to 0.2, which again, I still am waiting for the bill that says one fire district in the entire county. And it doesn't seem to be in SB 1 yet for 26, but I bet it's going to come in budget year 27. Where commissioners will become the fire district, in the county. And maybe not here, but that's, I think, where it's going to fall at some point. So.
Okay, can we stop for a second? 'Cause
Sure.
there's a lot that you just
You've got a
talked
fire
about.
hose.
And a lot of it is about stuff that, and I want to make sure that I understand.
Uh-huh.
The way the law is right now.
Yes.
Is 1.2% for.
The max for county.
Right now.
Yes.
And you're saying that there's a Senate bill, or Senate, I think it's a Senate bill.
Yes.
That's looking at lowering it to 0.7.
It says 0.7 in it.
Okay. But what you're showing me here is 0.5 and 1.2,
So your 0.5 on the right-hand side
is basically what we have today.
Yes.
Okay. So if it goes to 0.7, we still have a little bit of room from what we're getting today? No? Yes?
Your 0.50 does not include your supplementals, okay? But yes, there's a little bit of room.
Okay.
But remember, the room between now and 28, 29, we have not assumed a 5, 6, 7% growth in your budgets. Okay? Which is not going to come from property taxes.
You're talking about spending.
Yes.
Yes. So here's the thing, and when we met last summer, my understanding was relative to a lot of the other counties around lit, we had a much lower rate than other counties.
You're 79 out of 92.
Right. So if this bill passes, which is going to be tight for us, how are the other counties going to deal with that? How realistic is it that this bill is going to pass, I guess is my question.
The fact that cities and towns need higher amount, the fact that the state believes counties are overfunded at 1.20 and likely to be 0.70, I'm going to say is highly likely.
Okay.
Okay? And so, because they're also going to say, to your question about other counties, they're saying, but what we're trying to do with the 0.70 is mandate cuts. We want you to cut budgets. Okay? We don't want you to grow your budget to the cap. Okay? And so I sat down with Tippecanoe County or with Hancock County just last month, December, and we said if we've got 4 or 5 projects that we've got to get done, their 0.70 would go to 1.2 in a matter of 4 years. And those are things like mental health and some things that they have to do and get done. So the point is, it appears like the .70 would be okay for you, but not for very long. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to get at. And especially if your 5-year capital improvement plan has anything in it at all. Okay? Because you are going to, the likelihood of you going to a GO bond is not very likely. The likelihood of you going to a lit bond would be more likely, but that's where the 5-year capital improvement plan becomes critical. And then you show, what we show is the .50 and how that would need to go up based upon that 5-year plan, and you would not have any runway left. Okay? So again, this is a huge picture, okay? All of this kind of has to, again, I know you're drinking from a fire hose with me up here today, but I'm trying to give you the totality and say, we got to get our ducks in a row, okay? And get prepared if it does get approved.
So our days of paying cash for large capital projects are probably over.
Bingo. I wouldn't do it. Because if anything else, Jennifer even said, you know, if you can store up anything, that's what you probably need to store up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I've gone on pretty long here. I'm sorry, but this was round one of hopefully a couple rounds. So any other questions, concerns, statements? Ben, you had some other ideals, I think. Go ahead. I'd love to hear them.
Yeah.
Or did I torpedo it?
I would say torpedo just caused to pause, reflect, and kind of, what one idea, just to be transparent about it, just a pure thought is all, is, Greg had mentioned last summer about the correctional facility tax. He mentioned it again, of possibly doing a 0.1% increase on that, which would bring in like $6.2-ish million non-shareable. Looking at that as a way to help with community corrections, which, as we know, and we've known historically, their funding is going the wrong way. Pull some of the items that are funded out of the general fund and public safety and pay out of that pot of money for the next 2 years. That kind of frees some space up there, albeit temporary. It is a thought I had, but I don't know. I'm going back and forth. Raising taxes, lit is obviously something that should not be taken lightly.
And Ben, what I see is care of prisoners, the cost of health care there going up. As a matter of fact, I've had a couple counties, St. Joe County has insurance policy on it. And because they have health insurance on it because it was growing out so much. Care of prisoners, meals, things like that, those operating expenses in the jail are mounting quite a bit.
So that could also pay for jail expenses?
Yeah, oh, well, correctional facility is correctional facility. To me, that would, yes. Remember, it was changed for, subject to Doug's read. We always want to employ that it has been opened up to operating and capital. So, yes. Yes.
So that's just one thought I had, to help relieve the general fund a little bit. But again, the action itself is one that needs some reflection and some thought and discussion, for sure.
Well, what is that, about that community correction tax and whatever, what kind of a profound impact would that have on somebody's pay, like based on $1,000?
We had
Or
that
$50,000
calculation in July, and I think it was pretty minimal, John, ultimately, and.
When the constituents out there hear tax.
Yes, absolutely, agreed. I thought it was about $100 per 100,000.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
$100?
$100 per $100,000.
And again.
And proportional, right.
Right.
Today's goal was to bring all of this to light. It was not to get you to agree to a plan of any sort.
Understand.
And so, we were not suggesting that, but we wanted to get you teed up and teed up fairly quickly. Jennifer, we've seen lit ordinances, sit at DLGF. They've got a minimum of 90 days, I think, or whatever, and we've seen them sit there for 120 days. We've seen them sit there for a long time.
So don't wait until October?
Pardon me?
So don't wait
Right.
until October?
No way in heck.
Well, I think one thing Greg's saying is status quo is not going to work anymore.
Yep.
I think that's the easiest way to say it. When it comes to budget time, oh, I'm sorry, I really like you, Mr. Department or Miss Department head, but we're going to cut this, or we're going to cut that. I think that's the easiest way to say this. I think the first thing, really, you said it right off the top, is let's look at the CCD and let's get it up to the maximum amount, or at least find out. I mean, that's the first thing, the easiest one that can be done right now, correct?
Yeah, it won't bring in tons of money.
No, but let's,
Every little bit helps.
How in the world do we communicate this to our employees who?
To your employees?
To our employees, again, we hear the sheriff's department, everybody like that.
Well, you have stakeholder meetings,
Well, I
staff
know.
meetings.
John?
Chicken
easy-
Little,
John,
some of it is.
easiest way, do you want a paycheck or not? I mean,
I'd
in
say
true
that, but not in
retrospect.
public, yeah, you're right, I understand, I agree.
Well, and I think when you talk about how do you do this, I think the first thing we start doing is having meetings with our department heads, because our department heads have to be the spokesperson and carry the water to their employees.
Right. And I think we get the sustainability updated, we give them the sustainability, and we say, where can we cut, if we can? Because it's got the history of where each department has been for the last 5 years, and where their 26 and 26 budget's going to be, and where we think their 27 budget, and I'm hoping they're going to say, no, that's not right. It's going to be lower than that. Great. Let's get going. It's January 12th. Year's going to be over.
I wanted to piggyback on Kathy. She took the words right out of my mouth. You have to get buy-in from department heads. We talk about this a lot in the Personnel Committee, but we also talk about efficiency of our departments. There are areas where we are lagging behind, and we've heard about it for many years, and all of those are pertaining to law enforcement, public defenders, prosecutors, court staff, et cetera. But how efficient can we get in every other area, but we're also continuing to grow? So area plan is another space where we have to look at that. And then where are we cutting in order to add what we have to add? And so then we hear we're potentially going to go to county fire and EMS, and I've read some of those bills, and I think you're probably right. We're probably within a few years of that. So those are more employees, more health insurance, more taxes, more pensions to add to what we have. So it's a kind of an unsettling unknown that we have a lot coming for us in terms of employees.
I can reflect back when I made my first political speech 19 years ago, and trying to learn the system about department heads, what an awesome responsibility they have. I mean, they're continually battling, all these departments, continually battling for money. But if you don't have it, you don't have it. I don't know.
And John, again, I see this across the state. Rewarding your employees is very, very important.
Right.
And keeping good quality employees are very, very important. And it will help you move forward.
You've been with us a long time.
Yes, sir.
And
maybe a month or two.
This, just for reference, we've been here before. We were here in 2002. We were here again in 2008. I can remember at the Sheriff's Department at that point in time, we didn't fill deputies' positions, and we know how important public safety is. But the message that we got from then council members Dave Byers and Jeff Kemper was we're in dire straits, and they did a great job of educating department head. So I think we're on the right track. It is just it's gonna be painful because it means we're gonna have to make hard decisions. I don't think anybody is crazy about wholesale raising taxes, again, unless we're sure that we've cleaned house and got our house in order before we get to that point in time. And Dave, you remember, those were some painful days.
We walked in, the department head said, cut your department by 10%.
And gave us the choice on how we best do that. And I think once we started down that path, we understood these numbers, it made it a whole lot easier to convey that message to employees. So again, it's not like this is the first time that we've been through this, and we have the benefit of having the expert that kind of helped us navigate that back then.
Well, and just one pause point, I know how much the juvenile and all that meant, but it was a pretty good decision, really good decision, not to take that bear on, because it would have been even tougher, okay? And, I tried to help you find every way you could, but, it's a great decision, from a numerical standpoint. Obviously, I don't speak beyond that. So, anything else? If not, Kathy and Tracy, I'll send it back to you guys, if there's any other questions. And then let's figure out our step forward. Do we have a special council meeting in February and start with some department heads? Jennifer, you'll have revenues and expenses, over the next week or two, and we can update the sustainability and start there. Would that be something we want to do? Again, don't wait until August.
I think it's beneficial to have department heads involved. That way they can sit here and they may have some different ideas, and maybe it'll say, well, maybe I could cut here, maybe I could cut there. I doubt it, but I think it's beneficial to have some more meetings.
You have to have everybody
Bring the whole county on board.
Yeah.
What we're faced with. Of course, like Tracy and David over here said, in 2002,
Well, and each
met
one
with
of
dire straits then.
and each one of you already appointed to certain departments. I mean, let's get in and talk to them too, initially. I mean, even when it comes to budget time, hopefully you're in talking to the department heads saying, okay, really explain this to me. Maybe you do it. I mean, yes, I can agree with having meetings like you're talking about, but as a council rep, you should already be meeting these people. You should already be in their doors and already being asking questions and stuff. So, I mean, that is part of your duties.
And I think what would probably be a good idea too is to, initially, to show that the leadership of the county is on the same page, the commissioners and the council, and give a direction to the department heads that this is what's going to start happening. You need to look within yourself and, are there things that we do in the county that really statutorily we don't have to do? That we just do them because we've always done them. And, looking at when you have a person, retires, leaves the county, looking really, do we need to replace that person? Can we redistribute that work? So I think we need to our department heads, kind of have a list of things, ideas for them to look at as well as we're meeting with them.
And Kathy, that's even if we increase CCD, we can use CCD for technology. Is there a way we can employ more technology when that shift in personnel changes, and we can entice it with CCD to make it happen? And again, my point, Ben, like I said, drew first blood with his number this morning. I think also the question is, I've always said this, look at your revenue line. If you're a department that generates revenue, is it a fine line? Or fine wine? Does it need to be updated? Does that, or how can you help on that revenue side? You've already heard, again, the likelihood of interest income sustaining at what we've used over the last year or two isn't going to be the same. So,
I'm not trying to make a comment, be a jerk, but I can remember when I was at Eli Lilly, we went 12 years without a raise. 12 years. So I worked at Lily's, and I worked in a gas station, and I sold Indianapolis Star to put food on the table and accept every bit of overtime I could. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about that. I'm just saying, sometimes raises are hard to get. I don't know if we live in utopia or what. I just thought I'd throw that out, food for thought.
any other questions?
And people probably don't like that comment, but that's what I lived.
It's a real-life experience, John. Okay. Thank you very much, and again, welcome to 2026. It's going to get fun.
Do you have any good news for us?
Pardon?
Do you have any good news?
Maybe the hard talker will give me a different report.
Yeah.
Go Hoosiers.
No, I'm not going there. Okay.
Second.
We are adjourned.
A motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Second.
Oh, we actually got us.
Tom, my answer is on that.